Greetings, dear friends. Your invaluable support is our strength. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. This greatly helps the growth of our channel. Leave your comments. Your feedback is very valuable to us. And now, to the most important and current world events. Let's go.
A 60-year-old man used a flamethrower to set fire to a multi-story residential building in Seoul, reports the RIA Novosti agency. It is known that 3 people died and 11 were injured. According to the police, the man converted a pesticide sprayer into a flamethrower and deliberately started a fire on the 4th floor of the building. The reason for such an act is currently being investigated. The perpetrator himself committed suicide. On RBC, the main news, in the studio, Marina Lapteva. Russia and Ukraine will conclude a deal this week, hopes Donald Trump. On the social network Truth Social, the US president wrote, both Moscow and Kyiv will start working with Washington after this. Previously, the White House had suggested that the US might withdraw from the negotiations if it soon becomes unclear that an agreement between Russia and Ukraine is possible. Washington has already sent Kyiv a proposal to end the conflict. It is noted that the document includes some concessions from Kyiv. In particular, it concerns the possible recognition of Crimea as a Russian region. Also, according to Bloomberg, the new territories of Russia resulting from the conflict will remain with Moscow. Furthermore, the US is urging Europe to ease anti-Russian sanctions. As for Ukraine, the issue of its NATO membership will be removed from the agenda. Washington is already tired of what is happening in Ukraine, according to the White House. They emphasize that the possibility to end the conflict still remains. I think there are very big opportunities.
I think there are good opportunities to make a deal. President Trump has done more in 90 days to end the war than the previous administration did in over 900 days. And one trait I've noticed about President Trump is that you shouldn't tell him about a problem unless you have a solution. And I think we have a pretty good set of solutions for Ukraine. The mineral agreement is one of them. It also involves a comprehensive ceasefire.
A response to the American proposals on the conflict is expected at the meeting of representatives from the US, Ukraine, and Europe in London at the end of this week. If the negotiators reach an agreement, the initiative will be passed on to Moscow. After the consultations in London, Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff may visit Russia again. The US has proposed assigning a neutral status to the territories around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and placing them under Washington's control, writes the Wall Street Journal. The United States believes that this could contribute to resolving the conflict in Ukraine. The publication does not specify which territories are being discussed or in what format the control would be implemented. The article also does not specify who, according to the US, should manage the plant. In March, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt stated that Trump offered Ukraine assistance in managing nuclear power plants. According to Volodymyr Zelensky, it was only about the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Reuters wrote that Trump could discuss control over this station with President Vladimir Putin. According to CNN, this issue may become part of the ceasefire negotiations in Ukraine. The Russian Foreign Ministry and Rosatom have ruled out transferring the station under US control. Or any other country? Today at midnight, the Easter truce declared in Russia expired. It was in effect from 6 p.m. April 19th. Initially, the regime was declared unilaterally. Later, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also agreed to the truce, but ultimately both Moscow and Kyiv accused each other of violations. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, during this period, Ukrainian forces shelled Russian positions more than 400 times and carried out 900 strikes with drones. According to Zelensky, the total number of ceasefire violations by Russia amounted to about 3,000.
The nature of Ukrainian actions will continue to be mirrored. We will respond to silence with silence. We will defend against strikes with strikes. Actions always speak louder than words.
The Kremlin stated that Putin did not give orders to extend the truce. The Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that they are ready for a 30-day complete silence. The US, committed to a comprehensive ceasefire, reported in the State Department. Coal investors will return to the ownership of new Russian regions, 9 mines, which they leased a year ago. This issue was discussed at a meeting of the Ministry of Energy, and a copy of the protocol is at the disposal of RBC. Federal authorities are not opposed to the mines being returned to regional ownership, says an informed source. The deposits are considered unprofitable at current global coal prices and high costs. At the same time, the authorities believe that investors should pay for the liquidation of the workings from the maintenance of the mines. The business community believes that this should be done with budget funds. Experts say that it is easier to close unprofitable mines than to turn them into a financial sinkhole. The main problem is who will pay for this work. Experts refer to the law on subsoil. According to it, the obligation falls on the region if the business was not considered a subsoil user under the terms of a temporary license. At least 12 people were killed and 30 injured after American airstrikes on a residential area in the center of Yemen's capital. This was reported by the Houthi television channel Al Masira, citing the Ministry of Health. The search for people under the rubble continues. Another Arab media outlet stated that the U.S. struck not only Sana'a, but also the provinces of Marib and Amran. Trump began a military operation against the Houthis a month ago. He explained this by stating that members of the movement constantly attack American ships and military facilities. The U.S. will continue to strike Yemeni Houthis until they cease their aggression, emphasized the media chairman. The New York Times wrote that the operation could last 6 months and cost the state $1 billion. Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth shared plans for the U.S. in chats with his wife, brother, and lawyer in the Signal Messenger. This is reported by the New York Times. According to the newspaper, on March 15th, the U.S. Secretary of Defense sent the flight schedule of American fighter jets, which were striking Yemeni positions, to this chat. The chat was created by Hegseth himself, and it was called Defense, Important Command Meeting. For authorization, the Pentagon chief used his personal phone instead of his work phone. The discussions in the chat mostly concerned organizational and administrative issues. There were no details about important military operations, sources from the New York Times emphasize. The Pentagon denies the information that Hegseth was distributing classified data. This is not the first scandal involving the Pentagon's secret communications. In March, The Atlantic magazine reported that its editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, accidentally ended up in a government chat. All clear. A U.S. military operation against the Houthis was being discussed there. Goldberg was added there by a Trump advisor. We have Waltz in security. The chat also included Hegseth, the Secretary of State, and other officials. Waltz stated that the journalist obtained someone's contact and was able to enter the closed chat. And in the conversation, he appeared as someone else. Trump promised that he would not fire the officials involved in the scandal. 17 million rubles must be paid to Vladislav Bakalchuk, to Tatiana Kim. This was reported after the division of property in the merged company Valberez and Rus. The court made this decision because the value of what was awarded to Vladislav Bakalchuk exceeds his share. He received ownership of an apartment in Lyubertsy, a plot of land in the Moscow region belonging to his companies Podolsk Logistics and VB Development, as well as the funds in his personal accounts. Tatiana Kim retained full control over the company Valberez Bank, and the funds in her personal accounts. According to the arbitration case files, as of mid-April, more than 37 lawsuits are being considered by courts in 11 Russian regions, from contractors of the company VB Development, for a total amount of about 150 million rubles. Up to 27 degrees Celsius. Today the temperature in Moscow will rise. Meteorologists say it will be above 10 degrees at night. The average daily figure corresponds to July. Record high temperatures are forecasted in the capital until Thursday. Tomorrow, cloudy weather, thunderstorms and short summer rains are expected. In some places the temperature will reach plus 24 degrees. On Wednesday, mostly no precipitation in Moscow, with daytime temperatures up to plus 25. These values exceed the April norm by 10 to 12 degrees. However, a cold spell awaits Muscovites again over the weekend. There will be abnormal showers, wet snow is possible. On Sunday in the Moscow region, they are not excluded. Frosts down to -1 degree. Well, it's always hot in our studio. The program The Main Day is starting now. Veronika Romanova and Andrei Levchenko are already in the studio. I welcome you. What will you be discussing with the experts?
Marina, good morning, good warm morning. But we will, of course, discuss very important topics. The term of the announced truce, ended on April 19th by the president of Russia, What's next? What are the chances of reaching a deal to resolve the Ukrainian conflict? As you already noted, Trump states and expects that this might happen this week. Let's make a forecast. We'll also assess the prospects of the agricultural season and find out what will happen with food prices. And of course, we are keeping an eye on gold. There, every day brings new peaks.
We'll talk about the state of the pharmaceutical market.
Yes.